3 people killed in Muskegon over the weekend. Investigators are working to piece together exactly what happened.
A news conference is set to begin in just a few minutes. 24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey is there right now. He joins us live by phone. Joe?
I just want to start off by saying that this press conference is on information. Certainly, the investigation is still ongoing, and so we're not really in a position to answer a lot of questions. So please keep that in mind as we do this. First and foremost, obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of this terrible tragedy that happened early Sunday morning. And the police, since Sunday morning, have been working very tirelessly to gather as much information, evidence as they can to allow us, the prosecutor's office, to make some charging decisions. I will tell you at the start of it that we have issued charges against one individual. His name is Antonio Ragland. He has been charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. He's been charged with lying to a peace officer in a violent crime investigation. And he's been charged with felony firearm as well as being a third offense habitual offender. The investigation obviously is still ongoing. Mr. Ragland did have prior warrants out for his arrest at the time he was arrested early Sunday morning. And based on the evidence and investigation that the police have been able to do up to this point, those are the charges that we're able to issue against him at this time. The other part of this press conference is to reach out to the community, and we are encouraging, both the prosecutor's office and the City of Muskegon Police Department are encouraging the community, in particular those individuals that were present at the Elks Club early Sunday morning when this happened, to please come forward and provide us information. This is a community effort to really take a hard look at the gun violence that has been happening, and certainly this incident is the pinnacle of what's been going on and off throughout the last couple of years here in Muskegon. So we are reaching out to the community to please step forward and provide us information so that we can continue this investigation and make sure that those individuals who have chosen to use violence can be brought to justice. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Lewis, and he's going to talk to you about how the community can reach out and provide information, as well as the information that you've all received as far as a vehicle that we're interested in. Chief.
Thank you, Prosecutor. A photograph was given to you through the course of our investigation. Our detectives came across this vehicle. We had reviewed some video, and it appears to be a small silver vehicle, light colored vehicle, that had left the scene that we believe was involved in the running over of an individual at the scene. And we would like to talk to the owner or the driver of that vehicle to further go ahead with our investigation. To do so, like I say, we have that photograph. We wish that you would run that so some citizen could possibly identify what type of vehicle that is, and there again, who the owner or the driver of that vehicle. Before you leave today, I'm going to give you some information on Sound Observer. Muskegon County has now it's called the Lakeshore Crime Stoppers website, and parties interested in giving us some information can text information to us. They can go on the website and leave information or call us anonymously. And more importantly is, Sound Observer has offered a $2,500 reward for information. It's tip evaluated for information leading to the person or persons that are responsible for the shooting, and or, like I said, information on that vehicle, which is very important this time for us to continue this investigation.
Questions?
Sure.
Do you believe there's more than one shooter?
Well, at this point in time, the investigation still continues, so I don't think we're at liberty to discuss that yet. We're still waiting on, certainly, crime lab analysis. The Michigan State Police Crime Lab was out processing the scene along with Muskegon police detectives, and so we're waiting to see the reports on that before we make any final determinations on that. So I can't answer that question.
Any, maybe this kind of encompassed in your answer already, any of the shooters dead?
Again, it's too early to tell. As far as that. We're still, like I said, trying to gather as much information, and that's why we're really reaching out to the individuals that were there. And I can tell you, from observing the video this afternoon, there were several people outside of that club when this went down, so we know that there are several witnesses out there that either firsthand saw what happened or were in the vicinity of when it happened and can provide some really nice information for us.
Is this person being considered as a suspect as one of the shooters, or just somebody who had a possession?
That's someone we know that had a possession of a firearm. Where it fits in the final puzzle, I guess, or the final analysis is yet to be determined.
Do you have any idea how many people were there or what was happening that night?
You know, to give a fair guesstimate, obviously, there was no way for us to, count the number, but we think over 100 people were there at one point. And this was at the end of the evening, so we can only assume there was a large crowd there. And that's why I agree with the prosecutor. It's so important. We know there are people that were there. We know that people had witnessed what went on. Obviously, they were not probably part of this. They were a witness. It would be very helpful for them to contact us through Sound Observer, through either the phone, text, or the website, to tell us what they saw and to help us out. This was a tragedy in our community. We are asking for community help in getting all the information we can to find out, who they saw with firearms. There might have been other people injured there that left the scene that didn't seek medical treatment. We'd like to hear from them. The owner of that vehicle or the driver of the vehicle, very important. And also, I want the owner of that car to know, and the driver, that the law compels them to come forward when people are injured or die when the vehicle is involved. And it's important that they do that because otherwise they themselves could be charged when normally they would not. Okay?
Chief, we've heard a lot of different folks talk about that Elks Club, that particular location. And there's been trouble there throughout the past. Can you talk about that? Is that a trouble spot for police?
We have been down there on other incidents. It's not something that's gone past us. We will be looking at that. I cannot tell you at this time where that's going to go, but I can guarantee you that the city will look at their business registration, and we will be contacting the Liquor Control Commission to make sure that they're operating in compliance with their license rules.
How many shootings have we had there in recent past? I know some people were saying this is several in.
Well, this is the second one we've had like this summer, and that's what concerns us.
Were there shots fired prior to that, though, that we've heard from others that there were shots fired, not necessarily anybody hit? In other words, more evidence of gunfire down there.
I mean, last evening or early?
In the past summer, years?
Yeah, yes, early or late in June we had an incident there where shots were fired and no one was hit. Thank goodness, but that got us looking at that establishment, and we've been working behind the scenes with them to curtail this. And obviously, Sunday morning you see that they had another incident. Like I said, we're on this. We're not tolerating this, and we're looking at every way we can to make sure we get this back online.
Some people are saying that there's like a gang connection, that several gangs go to this location. Would you say this is gang related or more just a little skirmish that got way out of control?
I can't confirm at this time it's gang related.
So you're saying it's not, or you're not sure?
I can't confirm at this time.
Can you say all three names of the victims? We have some conflict on all the last names.
I don't know if I have that information to get correct or not. Okay, we have Dupree Johnson. We have Jacoby Brown and Antonio Ragland this time.
Tony Reagan.
Jaleesa.
There's a girl.
And Jaleesa Love. I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
And the last one was Jaleesa Love. She was the female that was deceased.
Chief, do we know what kind of car this is?
That's what we're asking the public. We have looked at the video numerous times and spent quite a bit of time. We've actually contacted some dealerships to try to find out exactly what type of vehicle that is. But there again, I think the people that were at the scene that see this, they're probably going to be able to tell us much more quickly than us trying to guess, because that photo is not exactly as clear as we'd like it.
This car would be in the Elks parking lot or across the street, do we know?
Yeah, that was right across the technical street. I mean, it was in a small parking lot, probably within 50 feet of the north side of the Elks Lodge.
Chief, the female victim of this, we understand she was shot, but then she was hit by the car, and that seems to be the fatal as part of her injuries that being struck by the car. There's some conflicting reports that she may have been pregnant and lost childhood as a result of this. Can you confirm any of that? And I ask, would there be additional charges involved with her death?
You know, I don't have that information at the time. I heard a couple different rumors. I just can't confirm at this time. But I think the prosecutor could talk about if she was in fact pregnant, and this comes out in the end as to what that could be as far as charges.
Right. I mean, certainly we're very early in the investigation stage. In fact, I think autopsies had been just performed on all 3 of our victims, and so it takes several weeks for the doctors to give us reports. So we'll wait and get confirmation on the conditions of all our victims when those autopsy reports become available to us. Any other questions or concerns that we can address?
I think you might have said this, but this is the car that you think hit the woman, is that right?
Well, we think that car was involved in striking several people, actually.
Yes.
We think that not only do we think it was involved in striking the woman that's deceased, but we think it also struck a few other folks. Like the chief said earlier, may not have necessarily had an injury severe enough to seek hospital attention, but may have been injured. And so we're also asking for those injured folks to come forward, but this is a multiple victim situation.
Do you think the driver may be a shooter?
I couldn't tell you. That again, I mean, we're trying to find individuals that'll be able to help us piece all this together. And so to answer that question would be pure speculation.
Mm-hmm. You're asking the community for help. Anybody who's community stepped up and kind of stand beside you and say, we're going to try to get you the information?
You know, we are receiving tips through Sound Observer that are being related to our detective bureau. I haven't read all those tips, but I know that information and tips are coming in. I see a kind of a swing to help us, which I appreciate. But there again, we had a quick response that night because our detective bureau was actually...
You are listening to Muskegon law enforcement officials bring us up to speed on that shootout Sunday morning near the Muskegon Elk Lodge, the Elks Lodge. They have a suspect in custody, Antonio Ragland. He's 20 years old, of Muskegon. He is in jail right now, but police still trying to fill in some of the blanks on this case. Again, 3 people dead, several were shot, and they are looking for a vehicle and possibly other people involved here.
The police obviously saying that they have a lot of details that they need to piece together. They're asking the public to help them with this. They put out a picture of that vehicle saying that someone that was driving that vehicle actually hurt people and drove into people out in the crowd. So a lot of details. They're trying to figure out who's done what. Right now, Antonio Ragland, who's 20 years old, was booked into the Muskegon County Jail on Sunday. So they have one person of interest so far in this case, but they do need to put more information into it to figure out exactly what happened. You may be interested to learn that the person of interest in this shooting, Antonio Ragland, is expected to be charged tomorrow in a separate case in Muskegon.
You may remember this video from earlier this spring when the driver of a minivan backed into a group of people and wound up dragging a stroller with a child still strapped inside. Ragland's accused of being the driver behind the wheel that day. The child was not seriously hurt.